Arsenal announced the signing of Viktor Gyökeres, one of the best strikers on earth. Plus, the exits, are they now starting to advance with Reiss Nelson set to leave Arsenal Football Club on a loan with an obligation to buy? We're also looking at the transfer market. Newcastle United targeting quite a large amount of strikers. All that and much, much more on the Done Deal Show. Hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribing. Let's do this. One and all, Arsenal formally announced the signing of Viktor Gyökeres. We're taking a look at the striker market in general, with United and Newcastle hot on the pursuit for a number 9. Arsenal's exits are now racking up as well. A big update from Fabrizio Romano in the last hour in relation to Reiss Nelson leaving and Reiss Nelson being on his way out of the club. We want to get your thoughts, we want to get your feelings, we want to get your opinions. The headline you can see there, Viktor Gyökeres is a gunner. That's the tweet. That's the message from Arsenal Football Club. And their fans are going to be happy. Their fans are going to be buzzing. Their fans are going to be over the moon. Glock 9, as they're calling him, has finally arrived. And we know that, I think most football fans, including Gooners, know more still needs to happen. More needs to come through the door. That all being said, this is a phenomenal signing. The goals, the versatility, the hold-up play, the elite mentality. I stand by what I said. Him volunteering for the number 14 shirt, I think just shows the type of mentality. The only thing that hasn't updated yet is a system with his new number. We'll have to speak to the people that design the overlays to get that done. That's the only thing I don't know if I can even manually do that. Maybe I can, maybe I can't. Let me have a little look here. Because we should really put... Oh, no, we can. You can manually change his number. So number 14 can go on the back of his shirt there. I didn't know I could do that. But he joins... This is monumental. Yes, Liverpool are the favourites. I don't think any Gooner is going to sit there and argue. There might be Arsenal fans that think they can beat Liverpool to the title or will beat them to the title. Liverpool are the favourites, though, in my eyes. But this is a phenomenal piece of business. It is a massive statement. And at the price as well, 55 million. I don't think this has been discussed enough. I don't buy into this nonsense. I'm not an accountant. I don't care about the money. You should care about the money. You should always care about the money. How good is the deal? Is it structured in your favor? How much did the player cost? Why? Because it actually leaves more room for additional players, right? This is a £100+ million player. 55 million. Arsenal have gone and picked him up for. It is a steal. It is an absolute steal at every single level. That's it. And people can try and play this. And I've seen it already. Terry, you can't say the shirt numbers means anything. The same people stating that are the same amoebas, the same toaster people, the same fools who were crying 4 weeks ago when it was said that Šeško doesn't want it doesn't want, but is worried about joining Arsenal in case he can't oust Kai Havertz from his position. That was met with universal condemnation from Arsenal fans. Now a player not only wanted to join you, rejected Juve, rejected Man United, rejected everybody else. He's also saying, look, this is how much I want you. Give me the most iconic shirt in your club's history. That's how confident I am that I'm going to deliver. And I think Arsenal fans should be maybe not losing their minds and writing off, writing off City and writing off Liverpool. But I think Gooners should be sitting back and saying, this is amazing. This is amazing. And I think most Arsenal fans in their heart of hearts know this. Seismic. Absolutely seismic. It really is. And as a United fan, we've got a rival here, David, who's a United fan, who says, as a rival, he says, you have to say good signing, player and price, both decent. Only question is top level adaptability, but that's the case for all signings. Look, there's always the chance and possibility that a signing doesn't work. This man's played in the Prem. He's played in the Championship, Champions League, internationally. He's delivered at every single level that he's been given a genuine chance at. And I do think one thing, I think Brighton are probably sitting there now absolutely kicking themselves that they didn't spend more time or they didn't see the potential. It was unlocked at Coventry, taken to another level by Sporting, and Arsenal, I think, now are going to absolutely benefit from the fruits of that labor more than anybody else. They are, and I often say, I'm going to butcher this. I've got to find the saying now. I don't want to butcher it. Saying about, hang on, I know what I'm talking about planting trees for the future. The quote, and I want to make sure I read this now. Here, I think this is the quote. No, that's not the quote. I've got to find it because it's a really nice quote. Okay, that's it. Yeah, this is the saying. This is the true meaning of life is to plant trees under whose shade you don't expect to sit. And I love that, because by the time most trees get to the side where they can really shade people, the people that planted them are long since passed. And I think that from a footballing standpoint, Arsenal are going to be the club that will be able to sit in the shade under this tree through it being planted by somebody else. And that's nothing more than a privilege for Arsenal. Phenomenal player. That's what was going through my mind. Let's have a look at some more of your comments. Actually, we're going to read you out here what he has said himself. And I think this is really key, actually. I'm going to go to Arsenal's website for a moment because I'm seeing the quotes come out now. And I think Arsenal fans and, of course, supporters of the Football Terrace would want to see what's being said here. The website says, we are delighted to announce that the Sweden international Viktor Gyökeres has signed for us on a long-term contract. The 27-year-old arrives. During his 2 seasons with Sporting, Viktor helped them win back-to-back league titles, a national cup, and was the league's top scorer in both campaigns. He's also excelled at international level. And this is a bit people forget, 12 goals in his last 17 appearances internationally. Talks about where he was born and everywhere else. It says here, Sporting director Andrea Berta said, we are so pleased with the excellent deal we have completed to bring Viktor Gyökeres to the club. Viktor is an exceptional talent and has consistently demonstrated that he has the qualities and winning mentality required at the top level as a top-level centre forward. His physicality, intelligence, and work ethic make him perfect fit for our vision. We are confident Viktor will have a major impact on the pitch and become an important figure in our dressing room. Mikel Arteta has added that we are absolutely delighted to welcome Viktor Gyökeres to the club. The consistency he has shown in his performances and ability have been outstanding, and his goal contributions speak for themselves. Arteta went on to say, Viktor has so many qualities. He is a quick and powerful presence up front with incredible goal-scoring numbers at club and international level. He brings a clinical edge with a high conversion rate of chances into goals, with his intelligent movement and his in the box, making him a constant threat. And yeah, I think most Arsenal fans are going to sit there and agree with a lot of that. He himself has just said that I always want to score, to be part of the team, to score in the kit and the badge on the front for all the supporters. I can't wait. It will be an amazing feeling. But I just felt that was the Arsenal were the right club for me. And look, he's going to say all the right things. He's going to woo the Arsenal fans. And listen, they've gone and got their elite striker. And for many, you'll have some of the more pessimistic gooners that will say it's come too late. It should have been sooner. And I understand that. I really do. But how do I say this in the right way? You've got him now. You're under new management with Berta in, and times seem to be changing. I think your summer has been phenomenal. Barring the Madueke deal, I don't quite get that one. I'm standing on it. Outside of that, I think every other deal, for the price you paid for them, the type of player they are, phenomenal. Some comments here. This is says, Terry, your cry voice is very hilarious. Glock 9 is in. This here from Logic, who says, you keep bringing up his GA. Check how many pens he scored. I know how many pens he scored, which shows he's an elite level penalty taker. Shows that I've seen Arsenal in the last 2 to 3 seasons get knocked out of massive competitions like the FA Cup through losing on penalties and missing penalties in the game. You go back to that first title run 3 seasons ago now. Had Bukayo Saka not missed that penalty against West Ham away from home, who knows what the rest of that season would have looked like. So this idea suddenly that penalties are not an attribute to praise somebody over is crazy. Yes, his team wins a lot of penalties because his team attack. Arsenal, I think, are going to be a much more attacking team next year. They'll win far more penalties. I believe he'll get the penalties over Bukayo Saka and he'll bury them. But he's also scored a phenomenal amount of goals outside of penalties as well. Phenomenal football player. The conversion rate speaks for itself. He says, will him and Saka take penalties each? Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter who takes the penalties for Arsenal because at the end of the day, they've got one of the best penalty takers in the world, and they've got a very, very good penalty taker in Bukayo Saka. That's nothing but a positive for Arsenal, in my opinion. This here from Abraham says at Red Light, says also reports talks between Madrid and Arsenal will ramp up in August. I trust that in the nose with transfer news with my life. We've got a sniper. Come on, you gooners. Brian King here says Gyokeres is poor in the air. Look, I would say not one goal last season was from a header. I watched a compilation of his goals last season. Is that actually true? But yeah, do you know what? You'll probably find that's the one area of weakness comparatively to the other parts of his game. At the same time, I just don't think that is enough to run with. I don't, that's like you find the most perfect woman in the world for you. She's everything you've ever desired, but she has a little bit of psoriasis on the back of her elbow once or twice a year, and you're going to say, oh, no, I'm not going to date her then. That would make you a bit of a weirdo. But let's have a look at his stats here. Goals, all goals. How do I check that? That's record against. Is it all goals? Type of goals. Let me have a little look. Yeah, type of goal. Let's check his headers because I don't know. So yeah, he didn't score any headers last year, but he got 3 the season before, 2 the season before that, 3 the year before that, 2 the year before that, as an example. So, I mean, he has scored headers. What's his header conversion rate like? That's one thing I'd like to know. So I think it's fair to go his heading ability isn't the best, but then compare his conversion rate to other strikers in the world. And I think that's what's really important. I don't think his headers is going to be something that's going to make Arsenal regret this personally. He also goes on to say he plays for a team designed not to cross the ball in. That's why Arteta didn't want him. We'll see. Not the point. Point is Saka takes him. But what's the issue now having an even better penalty taker? I don't understand why any Arsenal fan should be worried or frustrated or confused by a football player, now, by their club now getting an even better penalty taker than they already have. That's the one question I've got. But listen, you're entitled to this opinion, but what I want to understand is why is this bad for Arsenal? It may be bad for Bukayo Saka's GA record, but Arsenal fans are not going to care if they're converting more penalties. So let me ask you this question again. Why would an Arsenal fan be upset that they now have a better penalty taker? What is there for Arsenal fans to be upset about? That's the only question I have for you. It's the only thing I'm confused about in your comment is why would Arsenal fans be upset, worried, confused, frustrated that they now have a better penalty taker? Robinson here says, on paper he's good, but the eye test says Kevin Phillips. Maybe, but Kevin Phillips never scored like this. Kevin Phillips only ever had one decent year, and that was also in a period where the Premier League wasn't the best league in the world as well. And a lot of people kind of forget that there was at least 2 leagues, if not 3 leagues, that were better than the Premier League in the 90s. But with Kevin Phillips as well, this is a man who was a very good Premier League striker. This wasn't a bad football player. 35 goals, 25 goals, 30 goals, 18 goals. And even in his latter years of his career, as he was getting older, he was still banging in 13 or so goals a season for pretty average teams. But he was also playing in a time, and this is where I think youngsters let themselves down. Kevin Phillips was playing in an era where you had Alan Shearer, you had Andy Cole, Dennis Bergkamp, Thierry Henry, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Teddy Sheringham, Dwight York. I can't even think of all that. Nicolas Anelka was in the Premier League for a period. There were so many strikers that would right now be considered in the top 3 in the Premier League if they were playing now. So yes, he was probably like 10th or 15th, between 10th and 15th best in the league when he was here. But the level of competition he was up against was massive. Kevin Phillips was a very good... Kevin Phillips, if he was a striker now in his pomp, would be sought after by most Premier League teams. Good technician, good goal scorer. It's just we used to be inundated with elite number 9s. And then football changed. And then football went for a period where number 9s, the out-and-out number 9s, weren't really fashionable. We stopped developing them as a sport. They're coming back. They may never come back to the level we used to see because teams used to play with 2 strikers. So clubs were always developing more strikers. You probably find there's a lot of young players that are very good, that have the ability to be very good strikers, but don't get developed when they're younger because there's not the... Clubs are never going to have 4 strikers on their books anymore. They're never going to do that. 2, maybe 3 at tops. Therefore, academies, especially the ones that develop to sell, why are you going to develop 50 over the course of a year? Why are you going to develop, 10 strikers a year when clubs only want 1 or 2? You're not going to do it. You're going to get that right. Some Arsenal fans moan about everything. If we got Seshko, they would moan. We got Gyokeres. They moan. Get behind him. We need a striker, and he is class. He absolutely is. He absolutely is class. And there's only one other striker that may have been attainable, but I think he wants Liverpool anyway, that you may put above him that was attainable, and that would have been Alexander Isak. But it looks like he wants Liverpool. So you go to the next best thing. And I don't, by the way, for a player that's going to cost maybe 1/3 of what Isak costs, Isak isn't going to outscore him ×3, even ×2. So from a money perspective, if you now, what you would have spent on Isak, I think Arsenal are going to get 2 or 3 players that are going to improve their squad, which is better for them, for me, in the longer run, because they needed multiple positions to be sought after, Matt. We've got the most prolific goal scorer in the world from the past 2 seasons. Having multiple penalty takers is a great thing to have. He played in a team that didn't rely on crosses, but headers he can do. Yeah, I mean, I watched like a compilation of his goals a little while ago, and I think there was about 4 or 5 headers in there, and decent headers, decent header of the ball. I don't really get where this is coming from, and I don't get why any Arsenal fan would be angry about this deal. He might not outscore him. Look, he may not outscore Isak. No. But is Isak going to be 130 million? If Isak scores 25 goals next season, Gyokeres will only be 4 or 5 behind if he's behind him. You're not going to have Isak scoring 30, 40 league goals and Gyokeres sitting there scoring 12. Not in my personal opinion. The differential in price is not reflected in the quality of the player. Arsenal have got a phenomenal deal here. An absolutely phenomenal deal. I'm not going to back down from that. Terry, all this hype for Arsenal finished third and no Arsenal have finished third and no trophies. Look, where they end up finishing, I'll praise or criticize the performances. I'm talking about the deal. Just like with Manchester City, you've gone and signed 3 really good players. There's a possibility you don't win a trophy next year. There's a possibility you come third. That doesn't mean I'm going to say Cherky's a bad player today before you've kicked the ball. Arsenal fans wanted to cancel Gyokeres for Isak. Look, this is where those Arsenal fans are just being emotional. At the end of the day, Isak wants Liverpool. I think he's already chosen Liverpool. I don't think you tried to get him because of that. It was a non-starter. I think it's been a non-starter for everybody but Liverpool. Rampage here says, people will say we must win the league, but nothing will change if we don't. So what's the definition of must win something? Look, I think I think you guys have got to try to win a major trophy. I think Arsenal have got to go and do that. But most people are saying what they are about Arsenal purely and simply to point score, purely and simply to banter, purely and simply to wind you guys up. Because you literally have what Jeremy Doku, that's the username, said in the comment section, that Arsenal are going to flop, come third, win nothing. At the same time, say that you're the most under pressure team, but they don't rate you. You have to win. Well, okay, they have to win. Do you think they will win? No. I want to talk more about what people think's going to happen rather than the agendas we all hold. That's just my personal view. That's just me. Let's have a look at some more of your comments here. Never wanted Isak. I wanted Gyokeres all along, is what most wanted said here. Rahman, who's a City fan, says, congratulations to Arsenal fans. Now, there is some other Arsenal news as well that I want to touch on during this show. And this has come from David Onston. Let me just move it over to my other screen so that I can read it without basically breaking my neck. It says here that Fulham are are in advanced talks with Arsenal to sign Reiss Nelson. It states here that discussions for the 25-year-old is a loan with an option or obligation and significant fee agreement between Fulham and Arsenal is close but not done. Work needed to materialize. And I think this is going to be the next phase for Arsenal. Yes, and I did use the word phase. I think it's going to be the next phase of the summer, and that's very much going to be about selling some players and moving some players on. I think Eze will be the next player that Arsenal focus on. I think Eze will be the next player that if Arsenal make a signing, that they'll get done and that they'll get over the line. That's my personal feeling about it. But moving individuals on now, one, squad space, because having that space in the squad is very, very important. But I also think it's about raising some additional funds. Eze is not going to be cheap. Eze is going to want a big salary. And absolutely right. He's a phenomenal top talent. I think he's a clutch player and he helps to elevate Arsenal. Then the conversations around Rodri, I think, will really heat up. There's still no one shutting it down. All we're hearing is it's very expensive. All we're hearing is it's going to cost Arsenal a lot of money to get done. And there are some reservations about that. Now, that's very normal for Arsenal to come out and say that at this point, because they want to try and get every penny off the salary, agent's fee, every penny off of the Real Madrid asking price as possible. Equally, I think Arsenal and other clubs are waiting for Real Madrid to formally state they have no space for this player in their team or he's not part of their plans, because again, that loses valuation in the transfer market. But Eze, I think, is next. And then it's watch this space from Rodrigo. We know Liverpool are interested. We know Bayern Munich are interested. PSG are interested. Spurs, that got shut down yesterday by Ben Jacobs. And then we know Arsenal want the player as well. And I think Eze would complete a fantastic summer for Arsenal if they were able to add an additional player on top, like a Rodrigo, like an Anthony Gordon, who is still potentially available, then I think it becomes a phenomenal window. I think it becomes, and bear with me what I'm about to say here, conversational points only, it would become the window that would best suit every outer in the world. Because you now have a squad that has no excuses. You now have a squad that is as close to complete as money can buy. It's then about how does the coach manage that squad through 4 competitions to try to bring silverware into your great club. And I just think it's something that all of your fans can get behind, regardless of your overarching thoughts and feelings towards Arteta or, Kai Havertz or Moreno. I think you can look at it and go, look, that squad is on par with every other side. Every other squad is on par or close to every other team in the Premier League. You'd have a very good chance of winning it. And that's what the focus should then be on. I think it would be nice for Arsenal fans to go into the start of the season without this big debate. Did we do enough? Have we got enough? What's the squad depth like? Do we have enough goal scorers? I think if you had Eze and Gyokeres, yes, you do have the goal scorers. With Saka being there, Martinelli being there, collectively, there's enough goals. You add the Rodrigo, there can be no debate. There can be no argument about that, in my personal and in my humble opinion. But as ever, I want your views. I want your opinions on this. And we're going to share the link in the live chat now for you guys to come on and for you guys to have your say. It's very important to us that when I say it's important that you guys come on, have your say. What I always speak about when it comes to these situations is you guys, in the sense of, as much as I love the fact that so many of you sort of sit here and listen to me and engage with what I've got to say, your opinions genuinely are far more important to the Football Terrace than mine. I truly, truly believe that in every single way, shape, and form. I really mean that. So we're going to put that link in the live chat for you guys in just a moment. But I do want to shout out our title sponsors for today, and that is Magic Mind. Their link is now just been put into the live chat for you to go and check out. And I cannot talk to you enough about the brilliance of this tiny little shop. You all know that I suffered massively with terrible anxiety and mental health issues a few years ago. A lot of that was related to my health and thinking I was having heart attacks, and I really struggled to focus. I really struggled to sleep. I couldn't keep my mind straight when I was trying to work. It was a horrible time for me. Now, an important element of my life was drinking less, gym, eating better, and it was important. But during the day, you might need a little boost. And instead of a horrible fizzy drink or a horrible energy drink that was full of crap and nonsense that didn't make me feel good, Magic Mind, they reached out to me and they said, look, they sent me a box. I don't know where the box is. It's in here somewhere. They sent me, well, what they look like. This was 7 months ago. They sent me a box of these and said, take these shots a couple of times a day, first thing in the morning, one in the afternoon, and tell us how you feel. These have been an absolute game changer for me. They're full of goodness, full of multivitamins and minerals. There's no junk. There's no additives. There's nothing crap inside of this. But it enables you to lower stress, keep calmer energy, and keeps your mind from becoming cloudy. Especially if you have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee in the morning. What this does, it's very special. It enables you to spread that kind of release of caffeine over the course of the day, rather than it hitting you like a ton of bricks, and then you have this massive dump of energy later in the afternoon. So I'm taking 2 of these a day. I normally take the max strength in the morning, the normal one in the afternoon. What I often do when I'm working late, though, like tonight, okay, when I want a shot of goodness in me, is I take one of these, which is caffeine free. Now, I'll take this tonight because Man United are playing late as an example. But these products keep my mind clear during the day. They help me sleep at night, but they've been a massive game changer in my life. What I can do for you is simple. 50% off their product by scanning the link in our description or in our live chat or a QR code that's on the screen. So get that done now. If it doesn't impact your life, if it doesn't do anything for you, if it doesn't work for you, if you can't find the right balance between their products, you get all your money back. 100-day money back guarantee. So go and check it out now with a discount. If it doesn't work for you, you can get rid of it and get your money back. That is how confident they are. That is how confident I am, that along with a balanced diet and a healthy lifestyle, this will take you to another level. So go check out Magic Mind at the end of the show, or scan the QR code now, people, please. Now, the link, I'm going to share the link for you guys to call in as well. I'm going to put the link in because I want to hear from you all. Call in link. I'll just put that into the live chat. I haven't actually. I'm putting it in now. I just put that into the live chat there. Let's look at some more of your comments that have come through. I was meant to open one window and I ended up clicking the wrong one. Let me let this load so I can put your comments back up on the screen. Why have they disappeared? I say this every year. Next season is going to be fire. I'm really confident. I'm really, really confident about it being a fantastic Premier League season. Genuinely a fantastic Premier League season next year. I think it's going to be gargantuan. I think it's going to be absolutely massive. I really, really do think with what Liverpool have done, what Chelsea are doing, City are who they are. They've already bought well. So I think Spurs and Man United will both be better teams as well. So I think we're going to have a very engaged, just take the Football Terrace as a community. I think we're going to have a very engaged community because most of our teams are going to do better. I think it's going to be a close, painful at times, but amazing at other moments, ecstasy filled, and I'm talking about the emotion you feel and nothing you would take, season next year. And I cannot wait. It's going to be out of this world. 110% Martinip. I think it's going to be absolutely sensational at every single level. I really, really do. I want to also thank here. Let me just have a look. Did I miss any of these? I want to thank Welsh for Life. Thank you very much for gifting 5 memberships out to our audience. And Twisted Bubba, he's been away a long time as a member, but now rejoined as a member himself. I want to thank you guys for becoming official members of the Football Terrace and for gifting those out. Thank you very, very much indeed. Fireburn says Arsenal fans wanted to. Oh, sorry, we've done that super chat there earlier in the show. Right, we're going to jump into some of your calls as well. We're also talking about the striker market in general because there is a report this evening that. Hang on. Oh yeah, update from Ben on the Eze deal, saying you're still in for him. But there's been a report that Johan Wissa to Newcastle is considered off after a £30 million bid was rejected by Brentford for the player. But the player isn't happy. The player is complaining. The player is moaning about that. So, yeah, look, want to get your views, want to get your opinions on this transfer, the striker market in general, and sort of all of that jazz. So, as I've said before, hit the like button, get yourself subscribing if you haven't done so already. But we want to hear from you on the show. Who we're talking to? First of all, we're going to be speaking to Isham on the show. We're going to take some calls now. Let me get my earphones on. Yes, they're working. I can hear myself, which means I can hear them. Let me get ready to change my screen slightly. Let's go to scene 2. Isham, welcome to the terrace. Gyökeres over the line. Talk to me, brother.
Happy. I'm happy, Terry. I'm a very happy man. I wanted him from last year. Honestly, I thought he was so good when he played for Sporting. I think this is what we've been crying out for, obviously, for the last couple of seasons. And I think this is only going to raise the bar. I think this is only going to raise the bar for the team and for the boys. And I feel like the last time I felt this excited about a striker was probably Aubameyang. But since then, I don't think I've really felt, that same type of, just wanting a goal scorer. Kai's been good, but I feel like Kai offers something completely different to Gyokeres, and I don't think he's competition. I think they can play together, and that's actually really exciting, like as a fan to kind of have as an opportunity. I'm over the moon. I just hope he gets over 20 goals. I'm happy. Like I'm not, and I feel like for a player of that caliber, that shouldn't be tough. But like I said, I just think everyone. I think Berta has changed everything for the squad. I think Edu was good, but I feel like Edu was just running on vibes. Like I feel like he was just like, you're Brazilian. I can like relate to you, and I feel like you're a good player that no one else knows about. But now that didn't really materialize to anything. But Berta feels like he came in with a structure of, this is what I want, and this is how I'm going to implement it for the team. Says no to Sesko. Well, not says no, kind of says no to Leipzig after their negotiations. But still, kind of, that was, everyone knows Sesko was Arteta's choice. So I think to go against Arteta, it makes a massive statement for Berta as well. So I think this is just only a step forward. And I think a lot of our opposition fans, everyone's going to say things about him now, about him being Gyokeres, by the way, about him being in the Portuguese league and not being able to score and things like that. And I just think it's really funny, because no one was saying this like a year ago. No one was saying this a couple years ago.
Yeah, and this is where I call out the disingenuous nature of it. Is when you guys needed a striker all of last season, the same people are now saying, what about his headers, the penalties, the Portuguese league, with the same guys saying, if you got Gyokeres, because I don't think they ever believed you would do this deal. So I think they used him as an example to beat you over the head with, because they never thought you'd sign him. Now they've sort of got to backtrack a little bit and make it and make it sound and try and turn it into a negative. And I think every Arsenal fan's aware there's always the potential, there's always a chance that a signing doesn't work out. But I think when you look at the body of work of Gyokeres, his last season at Coventry, his international career, his Champions League campaigns, his domestic campaigns, when you look at the whole thing, I don't know about you, look at his physicality, his speed, his power. I think people are clutching at straws, talking about him like because again, he might come in and only score 20 league goals a season. That's still amazing. It's even you take 30-40% of his goals away, he's still outscoring 95% of the league. I think it's relative, and at 55 million, I don't even see it as that high a risk.
Yeah. I don't see it either. And you said it already, Ted. It's an agenda, and that's what it will always be. I think it's an agenda of Arsenal, and it's just like, as soon as we get a player or anything happens for Arsenal, it's the other fan base.
Is he going to come back? He's come back on a different line. We'll get him back on. There we go. I don't know what happened there, my friend.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, mate.
No, I was just saying, like, the Arsenal agenda of just if we get something or something happens for us, we over celebrate. You know, if we get the striker that we want, oh, he's not good enough. If we get a centre back, oh, he can't play this position. I feel like there's always something that, you know, they're going to say. We could have signed, even if we signed Isak in the perfect world, you know, someone would have said something about him, you know, someone would have said something about him that he can't do, you know?
Yeah, look, I completely and utterly agree with you. I don't think you're wrong. If you'd have got Isak, it would have been all the injury problems. I've seen it in my own fan base with certain people that have agendas. They were kicking off in April because the idea was we were going to follow Chelsea's model and just buy young players. Now all we're targeting really is mid to late 20 prem-proven players. That's a problem. What you find rarely from any of these people is they rarely set out ahead of time what they actually want to see, or when you ask them questions for specificity around how they want to see things operate, they just go, I just want to win trophies though. Yeah, I get that, but how do you think that your team should go about winning the trophies? Who should the manager be, the formation, who should be the players you sign? Do you know why they don't like answer? I've realized why they don't like answering those questions. It's because the devil is in the detail. And I'll give you an example. We talk politics. Do you live in the UK?
Yeah.
You sound
London.
like you do. So that's why London. Yeah. So you'll get it perfectly. You'll get it all the time when every time it's the mayor candidates or MPs, it's I'm going to make energy for old people cheaper. And everyone goes, yay, we like that policy. How are you going to do it? Well, I'm going to cut this and take this from those people that need it and take this from these disabled people and take this. And everyone goes, hang on. Yeah. We're all for helping them, but we're not. Your solution's now bad and you lose the support. And that's what a lot of these people do. If they just say it's bad, all the people that like it being bad go, yeah, you're one of our heroes, you're one of our gang. It's when you start giving your suggestions on how to improve it, that's where their own group starts to divide. So now what they've all just done, and you see it everywhere now, nobody gives solutions. Nobody wants to tell you, break down how to do things. It's just go and win. Okay, I get that. But how go and just win? Just buy better players, get a better manager. Yeah, that's very basic. Who are the better players? Who's the better manager? How will it work? Well, that's not my job. And you sort of sit there and go, well, you're on a podcast. Give us some more than, and that's all you hear now. So I agree. There's a massive amount of agendas out there. And that isn't saying you have to like Gyokeres. That doesn't mean you have to think Arsenal are the best team in the world, but at least provide some details rather than the same rinse and repeat cliches. That's my view.
Before he's even kicked a ball as well, you know, I feel like with all these players, we judge them so early, you know, and not just Gyokeres, I think United as well, you know, you get players that even with Rashford, I know we're not talking about Rashford now, but I feel like for his future games, every United fan might have an agenda for like the foreseeable future because, you know, he's Marcus Rashford and he's kind of gone against
I have an agenda, and I don't care how bad these performances are. I'm going to say they're brilliant because I want that money next year from Barcelona. Like, and he's not a Man United, barring when Barca are playing Man United. One day that will happen again. I want him to do well. People have got too much time on their hands. Do me a favor, bro. You on Instagram or X?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. Yeah.
Drop me a DM. Drop me a DM. Yeah. It'd be good to get you on the shows again, my friend.
I've been a massive fan for so long. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it, brother. Big love, man. Speak to you soon, my friend. Take care. Thank you. Emil is with us now. What you saying, brother?
Hiya, Terry. I didn't really want to come on today, but then you said something. I got to come on and disagree with you.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, because you were saying that strikers aren't as good as they used to be. But yeah, early in the stream, you said that Phillips would be banging in the goals, and
I don't think they're not as good. So let me recategorize that because you're probably right for calling me out if I've misspoken here. I think strikers like Haaland, I think strikers like Mbappe, I think strikers like Isak, Gyokeres, I think they would have stood shoulder to shoulder with the strikers from the 90s I mentioned. There was just more of them of a higher level, is what I mean. So back in that day, you had Shearer, Andy Cole, Teddy Sheringham, Bergkamp, Henry. The list goes up, you know, Inzaghi, Batistuta. There was just a longer list of top-level strikers. The quality of today's strikers is still very good, but they're a more finite commodity is more what I meant.
I think the biggest difference isn't really that there were more good strikers. I think the biggest difference is you didn't have to be as good then, because players were slower, the game was slower, it was less organized. Teams weren't defending as well together as they are now. Now every team is organized, and also the Premier League wasn't as good as it is now. So for English strikers, though there were a lot of English strikers that did well, not that many of them would have done as well if the game was like what it is today. So I just think that the game has moved to a place where it's a lot more difficult to be a striker. It's a lot more difficult to create chances.
So I hear you. If we took a time machine and took a team from 1999 and played them against a team today, on fitness levels alone, diet levels alone, they'd probably get run off the park. Football's faster. Where I challenge you, though, is if you went and took a 15-year-old Thierry Henry from that era and you brought him to now and you trained him through the academies and you put him on these diets and you trained him to play this way, he would still be as good now as he was then. You'd have to, for instance, I think most of the best heavyweight boxers today beat a lot of the heavyweight boxers from 40, 50 years ago, because I just think they're a lot bigger. I think they're a lot fitter. They're a lot stronger. However, if you took those same boxers as young men, transported them to this era and gave them the diets and the training and the video footage and the analysis and the recovery plans, they would be, there's an argument they'd be even better. So I do get your point. Yeah. But that's why comparing eras is about the fact that every striker in the 90s and the noughties, no teams were as organized as they are now. No teams were as fit as they were now. The drinking culture was still part of football to a certain degree. So it levels itself out. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. No, okay. So I did come on to agree with you. Anyway, so there you go.
But that's why but you know what it is? That's why it's important to have these conversations, because I say something, you interpret it a certain way, which is fine. You ask me about it, we have a conversation, and I think we've found common ground. And that's because you're a grown up and you're a man. That's what grown ups do.
Yeah, shit. I was young during the 90s.
Yeah, I was young, but I do remember it vividly. Listen, my friend, I appreciate you coming on and having your say, my man.
Bye.
Thank you, brother. Great call. And listen, I like a challenge, but I also like a fair and honest conversation. And that was one there. Brilliant to see. Arteta and Berta on the same page. Stop dissing Arteta. I don't think it's about dissing Arteta. I think they were on the same page. I think what Isham was more alluding to, I don't want to put words into his mouth, but I bet he would agree with what I'm about to say. The big fear for Gooners, or a massive fear for Gooners, towards the end of last season was Berta's come in, but is he actually going to have any power? Is Arteta going to be able to keep picking the players? I'm not a fan of managers genuinely shortlisting the players. Just something about it in the modern day game makes me feel a bit queasy. I don't necessarily think the managers have the best talent ID. I don't think they're as good as doing that job as scouts are. I think that's a scout specialism. Let them do it. The same as managers bring in set piece coaches because they're specialists at it. They bring in psychologists because they're specialists at it. Rather than the manager trying to be the set piece coach and the psychologist, you should do the same with the scouts. The fear was Arteta had too much power. This deal puts that to bed. Again, it's another reason Arsenal fans should be happy. It's another reason, again, they're a team. They're doing it together, and that is how it should be. Arteta, of course, should have an opinion. He's got to coach the players. And one of his opinions may change the minds of India. And you're like, do you know, that's a great point. We didn't think about that. So that's important. Very, very important indeed. This here says Ben Jacobs update on Eze. Yeah, I'll read that out to you guys now. Let me just go to Ben's page. Excuse me. So Ben's page here, it says Arsenal still have Eze high in their thinking as exclusively revealed. Some initial talks have now taken place with Crystal Palace, who made it clear Eze is 60 million plus 8 release clause would need triggering or matching. Arsenal now considering whether to make a bid or try to lower the number to test the position. Eze remains keen on the move. And I just think that's, again, another massive positive for Arsenal in terms of this. I think they're going to get him as well. I do think that deal will end up being, will end up over the line, personally. Maybe that's just me. Maybe some of you see that a little differently. And again, it's great to have that dichotomy of opinion on these shows, but that is my personal view. We have another comment here that says, Premier League fans, it's going to be a crazy season. PGMOL, hold my beer. That's also true. Coming on the show next, we've got, I'm going to try and say the gentleman's name right. Salifu? Hopefully I've got that right. Welcome to the show, my friend. Who do you support and what you're here to say?
Arsenal. So I'm just happy with the signing for Gyokeres. We've had like a lot of missed opportunities by not having a striker over the past season. So having Gyokeres, that threat up front, helps us a lot. I think Kai Havertz has done his bit, but he's not the guy. So having a proven threat up front, it's like the Premier League, right? You've seen strikers like Diego Costa. He wasn't technically good, but he was a constant threat to defenders, upsetting them. That's what Gyokeres brings to our team, and he's hungry. He wants to score. He will run with you. So I think Arsenal has been lacking that for a while, and I'm just so happy we have him. And if we add additions like Eze or Rodrigo, either one we get personally will elevate this team, basically.
I agree. I think Eze is such an underrated signing. I'm not sure why it hasn't had. Maybe it's Arsenal fans not wanting to get ahead of themselves, but I think it's such phenomenal business. He will have a glow. I mean, he's already brilliant, by the way. He will have a glow up similar to what we saw Michael Olise do for Bayern Munich next year. Being around better quality football players, I think is going to make him stand out. I think he's going to thrive. He's going to find himself. Ironically, he'll find himself sometimes with even more space because next year is going to be interesting with Gyokeres. Going to be interesting with an Eze. Our team's going to be able to double and treble up on Saka anymore.
Yes.
That's the big question.
Exactly, because you have Bukayo Saka on one wing and you can't double up on Saka because now you have a threat for Eze on another wing. So you can't and then you have Gyokeres down the middle on a central position that it would be just too hard to defend against us.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree with you. It's one of those ones, brother. It really is. Yep. Thank you for calling. I know you're waiting backstage quite a while. Are you on socials? Are you on X or Insta?
Yeah, I'm on X. I will drop my
drop me
my details.
Drop me a DM, bro. I love that. Okay. Great call, my friend. Thank you for coming on and having your say, brother. Speak to you soon. Take care, my man. Thank you. I want to thank. I've actually got family round, so I thought I'd do a quick stream for you all. I'm going to be live later tonight, stroke the morning after the Man United West Ham game. So it'd be great to see you all after the fact there. Do me a favor before you leave, though, and hit the like and the share button. But even more importantly to me, please go and check out Magic Mind. Scan the QR code that you see on the bottom part of the screen or click the link in the description or live chat. Go check out Magic Mind. It's been a game changer for me in terms of my mental health, keeping my energy up. It's a hard day. You might be at uni. You might be at work. It might just be looking after your kids. That can be stressful. Go check out Magic Mind now. A couple of these shots a day full of pure goodness, vitamin C's, multivitamins, etc., 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 etc. It's so good for you. Go check it out for me right now, people. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.